Now, I know Erik has talked a lot about hormone replacement therapy, but that's by far not the only drug case that he's worked on. When these cases come together, there's something formed that's called an MDL for multi-district litigation. You've probably heard the phrase class action. For boring legal reasons, there's no class actions against drug companies over injuries, but it's kind of similar, called an MDL. And the MDLs are put together by groups of plaintiffs' attorneys, will be appointed to the steering committee. It's the steering committee is the firm's kind of in charge of the litigation or running things. And it'll be a group of several respected firms and several respected attorneys. You're on several steering committees right now, aren't you?
I am. Let me dovetail a little bit back into that. What happens is when you have a large number of cases filed in the federal system that all involve the same drug or the same toxic waste dump or the same airline crash or something of that nature, the federal system has decided that it doesn't make any sense from an efficiency standpoint for everybody to work up those cases on their own, for each case to be handled in a vacuum or in a box by itself, because you'd end up spending lots of money that's duplicative with the money other people are spending on cases. So when there are a large number of cases in the federal system in one area, all of them are put before one district judge for pretrial proceedings. Now, once the cases have been worked up and are ready to be tried, they all are sent back to the court where they were originally filed. So if you are a person who's a Texas resident, your case was filed in Texas court, and your case is sent to the district court for pretrial proceedings, it will be sent back to the Texas court to be tried. But for pretrial proceedings, one judge presides over all of the cases, and to assist the judge in doing that, there are plaintiff steering committees, or PSCs, created. Essentially, the judge picks the top plaintiffs' lawyers representing those individuals and has them run this committee that oversees all of the work that's being done to work the cases up. And I have been on a number of those. I'm on the ones involving transvaginal mesh now. Transvaginal mesh, or TVM, is a very bad product that was used, it's still used in many instances, but it's a product that is used to treat hernias and also urinary incontinence in women. And essentially it is the placement of a mesh inside the body of a woman to hold up the bladder, and the mesh tends to break apart, to deteriorate. It ends up getting exposed in the vagina. It's a terrible situation that causes tremendous debilitating pain for women. It eventually has to be removed, and sometimes after 6, 7, 8 or more surgeries, they still haven't gotten all the mesh out. And there are alternatives they could have used that would have been much less devastating to the woman. So there are at least 6 multi-district litigation proceedings before the Southern District of West Virginia on that litigation. And I'm on the steering committee in that, and I do a lot of the briefing and argument that is involved in that. I'm also in the steering committee in the Levaquin or FLQ litigation. One of the things I do is I handle appeals on behalf of not just our own clients when we have a jury verdict in our favor or if we have a case that's dismissed, but other firms that have their own trial verdicts and their own dismissals come to me and ask me to handle the appeals of their own cases. And so I write the briefs and argue the cases for a lot of different litigations and people from other firms. We've been hired in the transvaginal mesh litigation to handle over a dozen appeals for other firms. We've also been asked to come in and co-try some cases with some of the major lawyers involved in that litigation.
And it's just a real feather in his cap that he can do that he can be retained. Another firm will come to us and say, hey, Erik, we want you to help us try this case because we know you're good in front of a jury. Or to say, Erik, we got this big jury verdict and we need you to help us keep it. Can you argue this case and brief it for an appellate court? So he brings such a wonderful skill set that I'm so happy to have him join the firm, as that's obviously why he's the lead attorney and coaches all of our other attorneys and make sure that the excellence that he brings to the practice in law starts with him and flows down to our attorneys and our support staff. And because Erik has spent so many years fighting against companies, multi-billion-dollar drug companies that spend millions of dollars a month on legal fees, he knows what it takes to beat those people. So in a little car accident case, if we're running up against an insurance company who just hired affordable counsel, we'll just say that, they're not going to be used to practicing against somebody with the caliber that Erik brings to the table, and that's why we brought him on.